We'll speak to the police in the region shortly, but first, Joy News, Manuel Kranting was at Chopoli to speak to his family who want the perpetrators to be brought to book immediately.
Sorrowful scenes that welcomed us to the family house of late Sergeant Abraham Tete at Chopoli. Friends and sympathizers from far and near had come to commiserate with the grieving family. For many who had heard the news, it was the death of Abraham the EMT, but for the family, it is the loss of a pillar. He would never turn down a request for assistance from I am a man and I shouldn't be crying, but Abraham meant so much to me. It's only God who knows what happened. But Abraham's life's journey was not without a struggle. His 70-year-old mother, Awunye, tells me of how she sold her belongings and did all sorts of menial jobs to see her son through school.
I used to hawk biscuits with his grandmother at Accra just to get something to take care of his educational expenses. He would even sometimes join us to pick firewood and sell, all just to put him through school.
AB, as he was affectionately called, was truly drawn to his family. His 90-year-old grandmother revealed how he transferred from the Tamale to Somanya station of the ambulance service just to be close enough to take care of her.
Tamale, first yata, no ani yata ne keje bia meke, enajimi imbehiwa, no anyeta.
He was earlier stationed at Tamale, but applied to transfer to Somanya.
She dreads the reality that Abraham has taken an early flight to the way of all men. While he was alive, there was hardly any dull moment around him.
He always creates some fun at our family gatherings because he could sing and dance very well.
For the support system that he was, Abraham's family will have nothing short of an expedited investigation leading to the arrest and prosecution of his killers.
The information we are gathering now indicate that the whole thing started somewhere 11 p.m. and Abraham was shot somewhere 2 something to 3. Even when, according to source, Abraham was second car, that means the armed robbers, and it took them about. We are not taking anything out. Right from the working place to everywhere, they should at least investigate it very well, and these perpetrators of this heinous crime should be brought to book.
For Emmanuel A. Tete, who is spokesperson for their family, they want government, and for that matter, the police service, to expedite investigations and bring the ambulance service here at Chopoli. My name is Manuel Kranting for Joy News.
Well, the tragic story, Manuel Kranting indeed filed that report tonight. It is emerging that the robbers also sexually assaulted a paramedic who was aboard that same ambulance. Now, listen to Chief Executive Officer of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Zakaria, who spoke to my colleague Maxwell Ababa.
Initially, people were trying to rationalize that perhaps they mistook the vehicle as a police vehicle, but subsequent events showed that wasn't the case. After everything, now the patient, the paramedic, they were in the patient compartment, and normally it's locked. So they had to force it open, shoot the vehicle, force it open, enter the vehicle, rob the poor girl of her telephone with whatever was on her, fondle her breast.
There's even an element of sexual assault, there.
Definitely. So the lady is really traumatized.
Who did they assault? Is it
the paramedic? There were two of them. The driver, who is a male, and the female who was in the patient compartment attending to consciousness. And so with the head on the steering wheel, with his seatbelt still on, definitely he could not move at all. So now they had to force the poor girl to leave the patient compartment to go and switch the engine off. All this time with a gun pointed at her head.
That's Chief Executive Officer of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Zakaria. Now, let's bring in my colleague, Manuel Kranting, who was first at the neurosurgical ICU at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, where Abraham Tete passed on last Saturday. For more on this, what was the situation at the time you visited the hospital?
So, Evans, at the time I got there, Abraham Tete was in coma. Indeed, he had just gotten out of a series of, surgeries which took hours, and as many as 10 specialists with injuries from his head all the way through his abdomen. We're told as many as 6 gun pellets were retrieved from his body, and a man who identified himself as his father told me he had no hope he could make it. But on the ground, I spoke to his wife, who was actually very hopeful that her husband.
To the police, I believe. Well, what have you learning from the police so far?
Indeed, my sources within the police say that there's an ongoing operation within the Akuni enclave in the eastern region where the incident actually occurred. We're told the area, which is a settlement for nomadic herdsmen, has been totally dejected. In fact, in all the places visited by the police, we're learning there was no single arrest which has been made just yet, and the exercise is still in progress.
No arrest has been made. But yesterday, there was a team of policemen led by ASP Danso, who is the Edukom district officer, to the enclave where the incident happened. So they went and combed the place in search of these alleged robbers. But unfortunately, all the places that are noted to be a settlement for the Fulanis, they all vacated the area. The areas leaving their animals alone. So we are still picking this heinous crime. So investigations are ongoing, but just that we've not made any arrests yet. In terms of lead, yes, we are following a lead. But lead in itself is not concrete. Are you getting me? Will lead to positive results. Some will actually lead to nothing. You understand? But all the information available to us now, in terms of description and some inroad. Actually, any victim of robbery will be taken care of in a certain way. So those who actually suffer some torture or what have you, assault, whatever, they have been given medical funds to attend hospital, and that is how far.
Well, as a result, some commercial drivers who've been speaking to Joy News say they now fear plying the highways, especially at night, because of the numerous reports of robberies. Data from the Ghana Police Service indicates that robbery, including highway robberies, are on the rise. Last week, armed robbers attacked a truck driver on the Bolgatanga Tamale Highway as he headed from Kumasi to Burkina Faso, with passengers inflicted wounds on some of them. We'll soon hear from the regional police on investigations so far, but first, we can hear from some drivers who say the incidences has made them afraid.
We are all at a loss, and up to now we've not recovered. One would have assumed that maybe they mistook it maybe for a police vehicle. But for the armed robbers to get close, identify it as an ambulance, shoot the driver, and still shoot the vehicle, force the patient compartment open, see a patient lying on a stretcher, being attended to by a paramedic, and still go ahead to rob them and handle them is something that definitely we are yet to come to terms with. We never will have believed that such a thing can happen. Initially, we were trying people lady to go and switch off the engine because they felt that the siren and the beacon light was drawing attention. So now the patient, the paramedic, they were in the patient compartment, and normally it's locked. So they had to force it open, shoot the vehicle, force it open, enter the vehicle, rob the poor girl of her telephone with whatever was on her.
Well, a retelling of that harrowing experience, there we had there by Mrs. Zakaria, who heard the ambulance. Share your thoughts with us on this very tragic story. 055 11 997. Well, in the Upper East region, we're also getting some more reactions from the authorities, particularly the police there. Spokesperson for the police there, ASP David Fiancotre, who says they have invited tomato sellers because they've also been on the attack recently. Lugu stretch of the Bogatanga Tamale Road, where the attacks have been taking place.
We have been dealing with them throughout last year, especially these tomato traders, where we used to provide them with escort services. Unfortunately, this year we haven't seen them. That notwithstanding, we have made an attempt. We have threw out an invitation to them to come, so that at least crime fighting these days have assumed shared responsibility. 4 or 5 of them, we provide them with that security to ensure they cross safely.
That's the Upper East Regional Police PRO, ASP David Fianco Otre. There, in a related development, some roads in Accra have now become prone to accidents as a result. Cantonment roads are worried about the situation.
Ideally, traffic lights are supposed to direct vehicular movement and avoid clogged traffic. But on some roads, traffic lights are just on display. They do not work.
It's been several months of dysfunctional streetlights here at the Sadisco Junction in Kokomlemle. This situation is putting most motorists on collision right here on this junction. Regular users of this road say that they fear for their lives.
Traffic light
The dysfunctional traffic, about 3 deaths just on the stretch. I'm really afraid because it can happen to anyone.
More than 3 months.
These lights have been dysfunctional for over 3 months. Instead of the police to direct the traffic, they are rather arresting us unnecessarily.
It's dangerous. They are waiting for an accident to occur before they act.
The situation along the Gifford Road in Cantonment is not any different. The dysfunctional traffic lights are posing serious threat to road users. This road links to the Lands Commission area to Cantonment and then towards Christ the King to the north. Motorists are concerned.
The authorities should come to our aid. Without our help, even school children are unable to cross the roads.
They have to come and have a look at it.
The challenges are glaring and the risks evident. This is why road users are pleading with the government to resolve this issue with urgency. Judith Awotritando for Joy News.
You are at this point reminded to be courteous towards fellow road users, to keep your temper and resist the temptation to retaliate. Arrive Alive campaign.
To the raging COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on schools. There's been a lot of reporting over the last few days about the situation at the Kosovo International School. We are now learning that the number of COVID-19 cases there is now expected to go up as the school ramps up testing for some 24 teaching staff and non-teaching staff. Now, these were recorded after 2 separate rounds of tests were conducted in the school. But according to Director of Human Resources at the school, Eric Mensabonsu, the current number may most likely go up given the positivity rate in the first 2 rounds of testing.
Saturday, we're left with about 240 to go, which we are likely to finish this today, maybe by afternoon. And let me say that will be mainly the last batch. I will not be surprised because we are expecting higher numbers from especially the third batch. And if we use a percentage of 10% for each batch, I will not be surprised. This is because when they send the medical team, when they send the list, it's all those who've been attested. So it could be a combination of VRA staff, the hospital, the school. It's a whole list. So when they come, then we will have to go in and take our numbers out of it. So we have to do some analysis of the data.
Thankfully, Mr. Eric Mensah-Bonsu, the Director of Human Resource at the Akosombo International School, joins us live. We're grateful for your time. We'll talk about the SHIT system that you started implementing today, but I heard you mention earlier that the numbers may go up because you have to test an additional 240 students. At the last count, has the 79 figure changed?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Mensah-Bonsu.
Yes, good, thanks. And good evening to you and the viewers. Let me put on records. By our records as the school, we have a total of 79. And that 79 is for students. And that we have 50 boys and 29 girls. In addition to that, we have 5 staff, 4 teaching staff and 1 not teaching staff, just to put the record straight. So it's the 79 that you have there, or the 79 that we've been talking about is mainly for the students. And then in addition, we have 5 staff, that is 4 teaching and 1 non-teaching staff. That is by our records.
So in all, we have 82 cases so far from the Akosombo International School, 5 for teaching.
Our records,
Okay, and you were supposed to test an additional 240. So I was asking if, aside this 82, do we have more cases?
240, the testing is ongoing. Normally, when they test, it takes time for us to get the results. So we're waiting on the medical team to get us there. But anytime we get a result, we'll let you know. Our records indicate that we're more done with it. It's left with only a few day students that we are about 10 or so that we couldn't capture today. And about tomorrow, based on the medical team's advice, we'll get the results. And when we get the results, obviously, we'll let you know.
Okay, but in all, though, these 82 persons, what would you say is their status? How are they doing?
Oh, excellent. Our status, very, they are in good shape. They are treated nicely, and we've put in several arrangements for them to engage with their parents. They have phone lines, parents can call, they have conversation, and they are all doing well. But I must say that they are very, very safe.
Well, some parents had cause to raise concerns about the day students who are allowed to go home. Some concerns for some students. Is it an issue that you're considering and doing better on that level?
As I speak to you, all those that have been tested positive that have been isolated. We don't have any on our records that been tested and is still with them. Probably they are looking at.
I'm talking about those who have just been tested. I'm talking about those who have been tested and waiting their results.
Yes. So that is where there is. So we hope that we can get a result by tomorrow so that we can take a decision on that.
So when they test, they are allowed to still go home. What exactly is the protocol?
So they will go home. And we wait for the results, So when the results come, then that's where we know those ones. So when you are tested, you stay, right? You stay at home, we get the results, and then we allow the positive to, we isolate the positive to, for the medical team to handle, and then, the negative continue in their normal classes.
But that's the danger, that's the concern for some of the students, parents who've been interacting with that, because the protocol is that once they test, they ought to isolate. But when they were in school before they tested, how then do you allow them
to context? When it comes to we are dealing with 2 categories of, let's say, students here. We have the SHS and we have the JHS. Now, the SHS, we have only about 15 day students. And then the JHS, that is where we have few more of them being day. The day population SHS, a large number of them were, let's say boarding. So we're using the traditional method of we test the results come then we do the isolation.
But I'm curious, that would trigger a shutdown of the school, for instance?
Those questions, I wish, even though we have certain things, I want to work with the agency that we work in, the medical team, the Ghana Education Service, and our partners to come out with those recommendations. As you know, but then because we are working with stakeholders, we want to rely on the expert advice from and the medical team to do that. So when we get a number, in fact, they will advise us as to what to do immediately.
Well, so let's talk about the shift system briefly that you introduced today. We're told you were forced to do so. How did it go, you would say?
Yes, the shift system, yes, we've started. We rolled it out today. And so we now have, let's say, two groups of students, okay, of 2 o'clock to 11:45, thereabouts. What that means is that they take early breakfast like around 6:50 a.m. They start class at 8 o'clock, while the other colleagues will be home or be in dormitory. So they end classes around 11:40, and 12 o'clock they go for lunch. Then the group 2 will they will take their breakfast around 8:30 a.m., while the other colleagues are in school. And then start classes around 11:45 thereabouts. They break for lunch around 1 to 1:40, resume classes and close around 3:40. So the same thing applies to supper. Supper, for instance, the group 1 will start 5 to 5:20 p.m. and they spread them around. We have spaces that we move the assembly hall, and so we have space to spread all of them around. So in the meantime, that is what we are doing, to maintain social distancing.
Okay, I'm grateful, Eric Mensah-Botu is the Director of Human Resource at the Kosombo International School. I want to hear from you. What's the situation in your ward school, private or public? I want to hear from you on this. Have you observed any positive cases yet? Of course, we've had this just one case and, of course, a few others. But I want to hear from you as parents. Share with us what the situation is in your ward school. Talking about schools, we've been doing a bit of the checks, and I want to take you to the Western region, where our checks tonight is revealing that various schools across that part of the region are still yet to receive the government-promised PPE.
Annual method this year at Efie Kuma. This is a public school, so literally the teachers have refused to speak to me on record. But per the interview I have had with them off record, they talk about a lot of challenges. The fact that they have not still received the PPE, and they are still falling on the ones that the junior high school students use. And even with that, they only have tissue. So you see an empty bucket. They don't have their required PPEs being given to the school. And they also talk about the fact that even with the students, especially the little ones, during break time, they will take the face masks off and then put it on the floor and stamp on it. They really don't care. One of them I spoke to also told me that they've started a shift system.
Okay.
Well, the Upper West region, Rafiq Salam reports compliance is still very low in public schools with high compliance in private schools.
I have moved to close to about 5 units that in the one municipality, the safety health protocols and the care, which are private schools, and they are respecting the safety health protocols. But when you move to the public schools, you have to go into the door. But some of them secretly will tell you that yes, they are grappling with the situation because they are not having the nose mask. Some few sanitizers were dropped in from the DS, and up to now they haven't gotten the rest of the consignment that they are supposed to get. But the private schools, we moved to a place like Tender Care International School, it's well managed.
So that's the situation in the Upper West, and as you can imagine, the world is still racing to ensure that as many people as possible are vaccinated. But as many countries wait for their turn to get the vaccines, scientists around the world are still studying the virus and researching possible cure for it or treatment for it as well. Already, as we've heard, Europe, Asia, and the USA are taking the lead with the vaccine administration. The latest we are learning in terms of the treatment that is coming in, it's Halodin. It's not clear if the FDA has approved its use here in Ghana, but an anesthesiologist and an ICU team lead at the ECHN Health Network, Connecticut, has been highlighting its efficacy in the management of COVID-19 cases. Now, Dr. Samuel Kojo Amakohene spoke on Newsfile.
A study came out of France that was published in JAMA called the Killer Study. And another large paper came out of Asia that demonstrated and proved our point. It took the work we'd done in the lab and proved the point in actual patients. And the one that came out of France that was published this Friday, it demonstrated that patients that use povidone iodine, basically Halodine, by day 3, they cleared all their viral titers. By day 3. It was about 2 times higher than the control group that did not use anything. The ones that were told to go home, isolate, hope to get better. When you take that and you could talk about the paper that came out, people in each group, and I'll tell you 3 things they found. Mortality, the number of people that died from using povidone iodine versus the ones that did not do anything. In a 303 in each group, about 5.6% of the people who did not do or use povidone iodine or Halodine-based product died, which is about 18 out of 300 people. And only 1.8 patients out of the group that used Halodine died. That you talk about impressive difference with a known safety, known efficacy, and almost no side effect. It had no side effect on your thyroid as well, which the French study demonstrated. In the group that used povidone iodine only tested positive, which means you're talking about roughly 98-97% of the group that used povidone iodine by day 7 had cleared all their viral load. Coronavirus, just so we know, can stay in one's body for up to 3 weeks. So if you're getting sick and clearing the virus by group, which about 70% of them still had positive. And the crux of the matter is how many of our loved ones, like I said, are dying and we're losing. I mean, I've heard about the stories back home. For the sake of time, I can't repeat them. It pains my heart. For the group that did not use any povidone iodine-based product, we know you talk about 20% of them were in the hospital in the ICU.
Team lead in the health facility in Connecticut. There, what's your experience with this and other, treatment modes that has been officially been approved and been used? And as you've heard already, MFA, there's some who have suggested that self-medication has become part of the problem with COVID-19 itself. Later,
Okay.
picking my calculator.
Well, so I said it was 82. It's not 82. It's 84.
Okay.
My math and Evans is also worse
My
actually.
calculator is, why would I have to use my brain when there's a calculator on
That's
my phone?
okay. That's just count. Happy to hear from you again. That's from Sam.
Happy to be back, Sam.
And Douglas from DC is also welcoming you back and says, I don't see any work of the police service in Ghana. Is it because the ambulance driver is from a poor and helpful family? But if it was an MP's daughter or son, we'll see what will happen. Kofi Sedi says, I trust the police to bring. Citizen Sika Togo from East Legon says, I think that all ambulances and service vehicles must have security officials assigned to them whenever they move late at night. Law enforcement officials must also be deployed at all vantage points. Another one says the virus is very risky. I believe if possibly they will have to close all schools for a short period of time. Seth Nanglo, pandemic here, he says. I'll take you through more of the messages after business with Ernest Menu.
I mean, just after business, we'll be recapping very quickly what you missed from the election petition hearing.
It is your client that is being untruthful. She is supposed to declare credible election results.
Please, Mr.
Multiple results. It is your client that is being untruthful to the people.
Well, lots of heated exchanges at today's hearing, but there were the soft sides too.
And even past there.
Any biscuits.
Well, Ernest is joining us with business. Shall I offer you some tea or you like porridge?
I am no Sergeant Lee. You notice that's also making the rounds. There's a line in that Shatawale song.
Oh, okay.
Sergeant Lee, Otashi Ochati.
I like that. Nunuti.
Welcome now in business here on Newsnight. Interest rate on Treasury bills fall as government records 96% oversubscription of T-bill sales. We have details on increasing cases of piracy and kidnapping on the Gulf of Guinea, contributing to high shipping costs for exporters and importers. Now, the business news on Newsnight is brought to you by Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your book essentials, and MTN everywhere you go.
That's were first class honors in agriculture. Oh, my first harvester. The last harvester I ordered online. That's people seeing my fresh cassava page on Facebook and Instagram. And endless number of calls for my quick fufu all year round.
There are beautiful connections that bridge humble today's. Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of Wintema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Our 130-year journey at Allianz has seen our operations grow into a subsidiary of Allianz Group, has put together a wide range of insurance packages to suit the pockets of every Ghanaian individual, family, group, corporate body, as well as their employees. Kindly call us on 030-2267-892 or 059-144-9686 or visit our website www.allianz-gh.com for more enquiries. Allianz Life, we secure your future.
Treasury securities have fallen as government recorded 96% oversubscription of its latest Treasury bill sale. Charles Nixon Yeboah examines the trading result and now reports.
According to the figures by the Bank of Ghana, to reduce its borrowing has largely led to a marginal fall in interest rates. Treasury yield on the 91-day Treasury bill fell by about 0.25%, whilst that of the 6-month T-bill has gone down by about 0.08%. For the past 5 weeks, Treasury bill sales have been oversubscribed, 156 million cedis for the short-term securities, but got 1.67 billion cedis. It will be so pleased with the investor interest because it is securing enough funds to repay maturing loans and also finance the budget. For the 91-day T-bill, the government got a little above 1.5 billion cedis worth of bids, but accepted 906 were about 140 million cedis. Data from the Bank of Ghana indicates that the government treasury securities were priced lower than the present rate during the early part of last year, but the latest fall in interest rates could shift to that trend.
And that was Charles Nixon Yeboah with that report. The reported cases of piracy and kidnapping on the Gulf of Guinea has been identified. Program and the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center to organize capacity training for stakeholders to ensure safety on the Gulf of Guinea. Head of Conflict Management Program at the center, John Mark Puko, has been explaining the importance of the program.
It makes the waters in the Gulf of Guinea unsafe for our cargo, the sugar, the milk, all the things that you see on the market. Also, the transportation cost goes up. So eventually it will hit the cost of living of you and I. And so we are doing our bit to support the process for controlling the high levels of piracy in our waters so that life will be bearable for us. And we are not just looking at piracy. Sometimes whilst we sleep, you have industrial fishing vessels quite well. We'll be able to mitigate the occurrence of such crimes.
And that was the head of Conflict Management Program at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center, John Mark Puko. Ghanaians are paying more than 4 times for a litre of petrol and diesel since 2010. That's according to data from the Energy Commission and the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, and the IES's market, as well as increases in taxes and levies, have pushed prices of petrol and diesel up by about 347% and 338% respectively since the last 10 years. This has consequently seen an increase in the price of fuel from 1 cedi 43 pesos in 2010 to a yearly average of 5 cedis 22 pesos. The COVID-19 pandemic has kept fuel prices lower than anticipated.
Had it not been the global COVID-19 pandemic, the price of domestic gasoline, which sold at 5.30 cedis per litre in the early 2020, could have been more than 6 cedis per litre today. Because of COVID, the
of government in a way distorted the market as it created perverse forms of incentives. This resulted in unnecessarily high pump prices, which were not a reflection of the international market. And that was a Business Desk report. According to the Managing Director of Vivo Energy Ghana, Ben Hassan Ouattara, substandard fuels are the major causes of the break to clean and protect your engine.
Vivo Energy Ghana is launching Shell Advanced Fuel, now with Dynatex technology designed for engine efficiency. At Shell, we want to offer our customers as well as more traditional engine technologies. The new Shell V-Power Unleaded with boosted Dynatex technology is designed to help clean up existing fuel system deposits.
And you heard the Managing Director of Vivo Energy Ghana, Ben Hassan Ouattara, ending.
I just had a conversation.
Evans Mensah.
Oh, okay.
You want to say it on air?
No, I am.
You can
I
say
plead
it.
the fifth.
Okay.
I don't want to testify.
Hans? You don't want to?
No.
You don't want tea. Okay. Hans, what's in sports?
Hans, talk to us.
How's Manchester United doing?
Well.
Okay, how's Ole doing?
Well, we are doing.
You're winning the league.
We're winning the league. Yeah.
You're winning the league.
Yeah.
Ole says you should be considered title contenders.
Oh yeah, I mean he's playing mind games.
Okay, of course, in the Ghana Premier League, and it's been evident, especially in the big games such as what we witnessed in the Manchester Derby between Hearts of Oak and Great Olympics, and also Kerala United's loss to Asante Kotoko at Enyinasi yesterday, and it shows that clubs are finding it difficult to control the supporters who troop into match venues and also to enforce the observation of COVID-19 protocols. The Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asante-Chum, is urging clubs to collaborate.
For police personnel on match days. Now, the first thing you have to do is to submit a copy of the fixtures for the whole year. So, in our situation, for instance, we have category A matches, we have category B matches, and then category C matches. These things are known to the clubs. I mean, I don't want to believe that a club like Midema does not know the category A games that they have. They know that when they play Kotoko, it's a category A game. When they play Hearts of Oak, it's a differ. They don't, I mean, you cannot request for 13 police officers for a game between maybe Dreams FC and Ashanti Gold, and request for 13 police officers for a game between Ashanti Gold and Asante Kotoko, because the two differ. They are not the same. The expectation, the pedigree, the euphoria, the hunger, and everything that go into such big games differ from an inter-allies Dreams FC match.
Henry Asante-Chum is the Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association. And Evans, you know, Al Ahly are playing against Bayern Munich as we speak. It's halftime in that game, and it's Robert Lewandowski who has got Bayern ahead by a 0-0 against Al Ahly in the semi-final of the Club World Cup. That's your sports.
Thank you very much, Hans Mensah Ando. We'll take you to the Supreme Court shortly, but Minority Chief Whip and Aswansi MP Muttaka Mubarak asked sleeping dogs to lie, continue to pouring, with some questioning the statement released by the lawmaker. Others have also commended him for doing the needful. Majority Chief Whip, for instance, Frank Anodompre, has commended his colleague for the apology, but does not believe Parliament as an institution must take punitive actions against Muttaka Mubarak. Now, you recall, Evans, that the Ghana Bar Association lashed out at the Aswansi MP, describing the allegations as offensive and distasteful. Paka will join us shortly with what he's been able to gather, especially from the Judicial Service and the Ghana Bar Association. The Chief Justice also, in a statement, mentioned that they are taking steps to solicit the assistance of the Aswansi MP to establish the facts in order to deal with the matter.
That his caucus was ready to provide evidence to any team the Chief Justice asked to investigate the issue.
Well, that'll be very interesting. That'll be very, very interesting. And I think that'll be right, because that gives all of us the opportunity to put some of these things beyond just mentioning. But we'll look forward to whatever they may want to do. And I can assure you that if it becomes necessary for that, we'll appear there with our evidence. And we'll prepare ourselves.
Well,
The NDC MP for Bolgatanga and former Deputy Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayeni on Newsfile admits that his chief whip erred in not investigating the claims further before going public, but called for acceptance of his retraction and apology. He spoke on Newsfile.
Those who are pushing the angle that he's still maintaining that what he said is true have meant, for instance, that, in our case, we would have had a parliamentary inquiry. We would have called a female MP who received that call, and the call was actually received, in respect of this matter. Would have also called, caused an investigation to be done from the number that called and called that person to appear before a parliamentary inquiry and so on and so forth.
Should it not matter that he doesn't say this was...
Yeah, so Muntaka has apologized. Is that it? Well, paralegal practitioner Oliver Vomeyo says, well, you shouldn't be left at that apology.
One of the things I think generally about this is that I think that our democracy is poorer for this letter, even as I understand the motivations behind it. For me, it reads almost like a hostage's apology. And I think there's an inclination in our establishment politics to make a virtue of trying to massage and settle issues behind closed doors. Because I agree with you that reading the letter, we do get the impression that he hasn't abandoned or pursue or prosecute this matter any further.
Now, lead member of the Citizens Ghana Movement, Edem Senanu, wants politicians to be more responsible in the utterances.
Well, I'm happy he's retracted and apologized. I was a bit concerned when I first heard the statement because trying to get into it would mean establishing the electoral petition and all other things going on. This is something we may want to pursue.
Well, Parker Wilson joins us in studio. Parker, briefly, what are we picking up, especially from the judiciary and the Ghana Bar Association on this?
So, with the Judicial Service, we understand that they have taken delivery of the apology letter from the Member of Parliament for Source constituency. And you know that they said they were going to institute a probe into the matter. They are considering the letter, and then they'll then decide whether they should continue with the probe or perhaps abandon it. So that is what we know from the Judicial Service. Now, with the Ghana Bar Association as well, they issued a statement. So, what their position is on the matter.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague, Parker Wilson.
Well, let's end now where we started on Top Story, back at the Supreme Court.
Where his name also came up
today.
His name,
of course, did come up today. That's Parker Wilson. But another person who was before the court today, the final witness for John Dramani Mahama, is Rojo Metal Nunu. He was in part of the team in the strong room. He told the court today that he was...
opportunity for these things to be rectified.
Mr. Metununu, you recall that you indicated to the court that you have familiarized yourself with the rules under CI 127, not so?
That is correct.
Are you well aware that CI 127...
It did not entirely revoke that. It said that in the new amendment and in the new arrangement, you must still maintain best practices. They didn't throw out everything in the previous thing. They said you must have best practices. Best.
The ninth.
I left the strong room. The first time I left the strong room was when the EC sacked me from the strong room. That was the first time I left the room.
When was
this?
The
EC sacked me from the strong room.
When was this?
It had never... That I left the strong room for the second time.
For the second time, that's what I'm asking you.
I left the strong room the second time to seek audience with the electoral commissioner. That was when.
On what day?
But you have already said it's on the 9th. It's on the 9th.
Well, if you are being rude, it's to the court, not to me. And even whilst there, you were offered tea and biscuits, not so?
I was offered...
Because apparently he had gone to wait at the reception or the secretariat of the chairperson. And the allegation was that whilst he was there, they made him very comfortable with the serving of tea and biscuits.
But they didn't add biscuits.
Yeah.
There was no biscuit.
Yeah, there was no biscuits.
Okay. Well, interestingly, we wait
What do you say?
for tonight's edition of News Night. I am Emefa Pau. That's my opinion. It's coming up next, and that is correct, is the topic with Nana Nsakwa. And that's coming up. You would want to wait for that with Nana Nsakwa.
Well, my name is Evans. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And remember that, thank you for listening. Remember to brush your teeth.